Welcome back, guys, to another episode. I want to talk a bit about motivation today because I've been in situations recently where I don't feel motivated and I know I need to be motivated, and it actually makes me less motivated. And so I want to kind of break this down a little bit and how I moved through it, because I'm sure that some of you have also been experiencing feelings of not being motivated, and then this level with piece of like self-judgment of like, how come I'm not feeling motivated? And then what do when you don't feel motivated? You look for motivation. And sometimes looking for motivation might be you go on Instagram to see what other people are doing, and then that piece of comparison of like, oh look, this person is motivated, they're doing this, but I'm not doing this, and you feel like more like crap about yourself that you're not feeling motivated. It becomes this like vicious circle. And the piece that I want to talk about is, how do we stop that? How do we naturally become motivated without the feeling the need to compare ourselves and to feel like crap afterwards? And I think the big piece of motivation and feeling motivated is not pushing the need to be motivated. So let me talk about this a little bit more. Yeah, we have, ebbs and flows to our life. We have seasons in our own personal life, not necessarily the seasons that are physically in our environment, but we have seasons within ourselves. And as women, we have phases throughout the month where some days we're more on fire and other days we need to be more laid back. And basically what I'm talking about there is ebb and flow. And we see the ebb and flow even if, like, in your human design chart, if you have a defined solar plexus, you have an emotional wave. And so sometimes you might be feeling good during that that high in that emotional wave, and then if you're in that low, you may not feel so good, right? So I think the first step is to recognizing how you're feeling, but from a place of non-judgment, a place of observation. And I've been practicing this a lot more lately, of taking a step back and just observing my feelings. I think feelings, and I'm going to be learning a lot more about this, about emotions and feelings and how we move through them and what they mean and everything. But basically, feelings and emotions are just energy in motion, right? So we have energy moving through our body, and that could be like a high frequency energy, it could be a low frequency energy. And we want to attach meaning to it because we want to make sense of how it feels. And so we attach meaning to it based on our own filter, our own experiences, and then we decide like, oh, I'm feeling this way because of X, Y, and Z. What I'm trying to do more is become conscious of these feelings or these emotions and be like, okay, I feel a certain way, period. I don't need to justify it. I don't need to like make sense of it. It's just a wave that I'm going to ride. And when you are in that low period, when you're in that place where you're not feeling motivated, the first thing you're going to want to do is try to get out of it. And I think the key is not to try to do anything. The key is just to observe it. So for example, if I know I need to post something on Instagram and I'm not feeling motivated to post anything on Instagram, I have a couple choices. One, I can go through my notes that I have. Like I have like this endless amount of like content in my notes that I can pull from to create a post about it. And just for the sake of filling like dead space, like, oh, I should put something out there, I can go on Instagram and see what other people are doing to get motivated by them. Or I can just accept the fact I don't really want to post anything right now. So I'm just going to just sit with that. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to nourish my soul and know that this is just a wave. This is just a low part of my wave, and I will come out of it and I will feel inspired again. And when we allow ourselves to ride that wave, when we allow ourselves to come from a place of curiosity of how we're feeling and just like riding that wave, we move through it faster. So motivation isn't necessarily something that we need to go find. We need to be inspired. We need to be on this journey, right? To go find, to get something motivation. I think motivation comes on its own. You will be inspired. When you quiet your mind, you might have like this download, or you might be like, oh my gosh, this is such a great post. I want to like work on that. But that can't necessarily come, or may not necessarily come as fast if you're in this place of resistance of, I need to get motivated. Where is it? Because that is just a place of like lack, right? So if you are constantly wanting to be like, how come I'm not motivated to write something? How come I'm not motivated? I need to get motivated. That feeling that you're experiencing isn't a feeling of motivation. It's a feeling of resistance. And so while you're in that feeling of resistance, all you're going to bring in is more feelings of resistance, more feelings of frustration, more feelings of needing to be motivated without getting motivated. And so if we're able to ride that wave and just kind of take a step back and just feel how we're feeling, knowing that at some point we will get motivated, we enter it from a place of neutrality, we're able to move through it faster, and then sure enough, it will come back. And I think also it's important to look at where you are in your cycle. If you haven't listened to episode, I think it's episode 12 with Suzanne Venus, where we talk about all about the power of the woman's cycle. She talks about like in our cycle, there are going to be moments where we're going to be feeling on fire, and there are going to be moments where we just need to like reflect back. And it's important for us to recognize and kind of take track or keep track of it and take notes of where we are in our cycle, so we know what days of the month we are feeling more motivated to do things. So if you haven't listened to that, it's episode 12. But I think it's important to recognize where you are in your cycle. It's also important to like look back on what you've accomplished, because sometimes it could be this feeling like I haven't done anything. But if you look back, like, holy crap, I've done a lot. So just getting to a place of stillness and neutrality and riding that wave and knowing it's going to come back, and knowing that that place of motivation, you will become motivated again. There's also, this thought of what you're doing, is it motivating you, right? Like, so if you are something that you're doing, is it inspiring? Is it something that you want to continue doing? So it's important to take a reflection of like, this thing that I'm doing, whatever that is, doesn't motivate me, but I feel like I have to do it. So it's important to take a step back and like this greater bird's eye view of, do you really have to do that? Is there something within there that you can get motivated by, or something that you can move away from, that you don't necessarily have to do? Does that make sense? So like being able to get to a place of recognizing or auditing, like, is this something I want to continue doing? I'm not motivated by it, but I feel like I have to do it. And removing things from your life that are draining, because it's only taking that energy from you. And so, sometimes it's easier said than done, but like taking that audit of, do I really want to be around this particular person, even though I feel like I need to be around this person, but I feel very drained around this person? Like, where in your life can you recoup some of that energy, so then you are protecting your energy more, putting your energy in more of a place of abundance, and then being able to, be in a place to be motivated more, because you're not feeling so drained from everything else. But I think the key point is motivation comes from within. You can be inspired, but motivation comes from within. So if you feel like you're not feeling motivated, the worst thing you can do, or not the worst thing, but like something that you may want to consider not doing, is looking outside yourself for that motivation. Yes, you can be inspired, but I feel like inspiration comes almost like when you're not expecting it. If you're going to read a book or read a chapter in a book, you're like, okay, I'm going to read this so I can be inspired. Then you're coming at it from this lens of, again, that place of lack. I have to do something. I have to fill in a place. I have to fill in this feeling, this space, so I can get motivated. Versus, I'm just going to read this book because I don't feel like doing anything right now. I'm just going to read it and see what happens. And so we get this place of inspiration when we're not necessarily seeking it. And I'm sure we've all had those experiences where we're in the car driving and we get this intuitive download. You're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is what I want to do next. Like, you're inspired by an intuitive download, or you're having a conversation with a friend and they say something that inspires you to do something, but you're not necessarily seeking out that inspiration. It just comes on its own, right? Because you're in this place of neutrality. And so with motivation, it's not all about getting motivated. I need to get motivated to do this. I need to get motivated to make a post. I need to get motivated to finish my project. I need to get motivated, insert whatever that is. It's honoring where you are, coming from a place of neutrality, doing things that nourish your soul, and knowing that this downtime that you're in is just a place of, it's just a wave, an emotional wave, and allowing yourself to get through it. And the inspiration for this episode was something about a couple months ago where I was judging myself that I felt like I wasn't posting things in a few days on Instagram, or I was posting just for the sake of posting and then frustrated that no one was like commenting on it. Whereas sometimes when you post something from a place of lack, like that energy is like you're having an energetic stamp on it. And so people can feel that, may not want to like resonate with may not resonate with it at that time. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to scroll on Instagram, right? mindlessly scroll, and then I felt worse afterwards. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to not force this. I'm just going to come to this, get to a place of neutrality, do things that light me up, that nourish my soul, knowing it's going to come, it's going to happen. And it happens faster when you're not looking for it. So this episode is just a quick one. Just some thoughts I wanted to share. It's actually been on my list of, I have like a list in my notes of like just different topics I wanted to talk about. And this has been there for several months, and it just felt like the right time to talk about this topic about motivation. In a time where I feel like we put so much on productivity, we put so much on what we want to get out there, what people can see, and we don't do as much focus or put as much priority on what needs to happen first, like the foundation of that, the energetics of it. Where we need to get to a place of like all the inner work that needs to happen before the productivity. We put so much effort on that productivity, but we can only produce from a place of us feeling, inspired or fulfilled, or where our energy is full. It's hard to produce something from a place of lack. And so many of us are like, we need to do this. I need to get this out. And it comes from a place of lack versus a place of like abundance, or a place of true inspiration and true motivation. And what we see on Instagram are highly edited videos and pictures and copy that's been worked on or edited and everything. And so what we see is like this perfectly crafted post or whatever, but we don't see what goes on the inside behind that, right? And so we get in our heads of like, I have to do the same thing as well, but then you're coming from a place of comparison. So it's really getting down to like, again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's really coming down to this, getting a place of neutrality and understanding your emotions and understanding where you are with your emotions. What pulse are you on? Are you in an on pulse or an off pulse? Because if you're in an off pulse, if you're in like this low vibration, if you're in this frequency of like, I don't feel like doing anything, and you create from that space, you're basically pouring from an empty cup versus nourishing your soul. So in summary, ending this with, if you feel like you're not motivated, instead of looking for that motivation, nourish your soul. Do the things that light you up, and knowing that it's a wave that you're in and you will come to clarity. I promise. All right. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will catch you in the next episode. Bye.